High above the skies of the Valiant Stadium lies the start for today's event. Hello everybody and welcome back to the VALVIK Marble League for event number 5, the Funnel Endurance. My name as always is Frankie, and we're glad to have you back as always. But let's have a look back at what happened last time out in the VALVIK Marble League. Of course, event 4, the Carbons, with a win, took 3rd place. Satyrs sit in 2nd, with the Bubblegum Ballers now taking the lead with 2 medals in a row. But of course, anything can happen with a couple of events still remaining. But let's move on then to the main event of the day, the Funnel Endurance. As is tradition with the Funnel Endurance, we've got 8 teams competing for 4 spots each in 2 heats. And of course, in the Funnel Endurance, the key to the event is to finish be as slow as possible. And of course, the top 4 advance to the final, bottom 4 have to compete for the placements between 9th to 16th. But we're already off now, and it's a good start then for Swirl of the Bubblegum Ballers. They're sitting over there in that funnel with Balance and Halican as they now join everybody else. Meanwhile, at the bottom, it is the Golfbirds with the Violet Vermin now. As I said now, the Peculiar Peaks Ascent now takes a brief lead now. In these first handful of funnels, you need to, if you want to have a guarantee of a win, you need to separate yourself a little bit from some of these other teams here, because in the first handful of funnels, there's a lot of contact here. So yeah, Salamander is doing that pretty well so far, captain of the Scorpions, of course. Ostrich seems to be detaching themselves from that pack over there, and look at Salamander still holding that lead there. Meanwhile, it's Renew and Harlequin in those last funnels there. Renew, of course, darling of the VALVIK Marble League, winner of the Funnel Endurance. They seem to be recovering now, as look at Salamander now dropping down. Meanwhile, Ostrich still up there in one of those funnels up there. You can't even see them on screen anymore. Their lead is actually getting very, very big now. But meanwhile, it is still, we have 2nd and 3rd there, Swirl and Salamander in a brief battle there for 2nd, as they're managing to somewhat separate themselves from this gaggle of marbles here. As we now start to see the stadium, we're approaching the finish line here. And remember that bottom 4 will not advance. If you finish first, you are considered last. Meanwhile now, as Peril enters now the last of the funnels here, Renew is there as well, Ascent. Let's see who will finish in last. Renew almost enters, but now Peril looks to be entering, and they are out. The Violet Vermin is out. Contact there for Renew, and they are out as well. Disaster for Team Echo. Royal Jesters, Harlequin finishes. Oh, Bubblegum Ballers almost entering in there. Ascent, I think, is a bit of a sacrificial lamb, and they're out. And those are the 4 eliminated. Scorpions now will finish in 4th. Meanwhile then, these 2 are already safe. They do not have to battle all that much anymore. Bubblegum Ballers will finish in 3rd. Balls of Zen, the champions of Season 2, will finish in 2nd. And where are the Golfbirds? And they're there! It's a massive margin. Ostrich, we barely even got to see them, only at the start a little bit, but they managed to separate themselves from the pack wonderfully here, and are gonna guarantee themselves a finish in the final, a position in the final here. Right now they're just gloating a little bit. They do not need to worry, but we don't even keep track of time here, but this is for their own vanity here. But they will finish in 1st, and they are guaranteed to go to the final. The Golfbirds had a rough start to the season, so hopefully this could be a good turnaround for the team. But it was a very straightforward run here. Disaster for Team Echo. Renew was coming in as pretty much a legend of the funnels here, but they are out. Ascent nearly made it through, but they cannot do it then. Bubblegum Ballers with another potential for a good finish here. This team has been on fire in the last few events. But of course, we still have one more heat to go before that. And look at, we actually have to fast forward the footage here. That's just how big Ostrich's margin was over the other teams here. And they finally get to enter into the basin. If we kept track of time here, they would be over 30 seconds ahead of everybody else. Well, let's move on then to Heat 2. And a lot of big names here. We've got the Disco Neons, we've got the Sailors, the Carbons, Team Virtuoso as well. But let's see who will finish in 1st. Atomics now enter the 1st funnel. And everybody following behind there. Meanwhile, at the top, it's still the Disco Neons, Red Neon, and Port of the Sailors. Both marbles with big pedigrees here in the Funnel Endurance. Of course, Port won back in Season 1, and the Disco Neons made a wonderful recovery to essentially guarantee themselves their qualification spot back in this season's qualifiers. But of course, anything can still happen. We still also have Fullerene over there, who won in the friendly round. As meanwhile, Nucleus was getting bullied a little bit there by those other teams there. As everybody getting in line and stern. Briefly there, the Sailors in the lead. As meanwhile, yeah, look at that. They're getting line and stern into these funnels here. They're essentially funneling down like a conveyor belt, essentially, almost. As it looks to be the Sky Scouts. No, look at that. The Sky Scouts in a brief lead there as they're getting bounced around by everybody else. Moving through these funnels here a lot quicker than back in Heat 1. And nobody seems to be separating themselves from the rest of the pack here. As the leader is still unclear. Right now it's either Zante or Nucleus, as now Uramaki briefly in the lead there. Disco Neon's one funnel behind everybody else now, as we enter these long and winding funnels where you can lose a lot of speed here, which is going to be beneficial for you in the long run. As look at Nucleus now in that lead position here. And of course, all this bounciness is not helping you, as the more bounces you have with your fellow competitors, the more speed you will get, which at the end of the day is not good for you. As meanwhile, we start to see the stadium here. We're about to descend to the last funnel now. This is going to be crucial. Let's look at. Meanwhile, it's Fullerene now in a brief leader position here. As we enter the last funnels now, the Atomic, Sushi Squad, Shock Courant. Oh, look at that. Kakarbas make a mistake. They're out in last. And so do the Sailors, actually. Disco Neons and the Sky Scouts are out as well. And the Atomics will do it. Nucleus, they entered the last funnel first, but they were able to hold their momentum, and they got also a little bit lucky as well from the other marbles coming in that conveyor belt style we talked about earlier, and they were able to maintain that momentum. But meanwhile, for the Carbons and for the Sailors, a massive mistake. We've seen that exact mistake from the Cue Balls back in the qualifiers in their group, where they went from first to essentially last in just a few seconds. But it will be then the Atomics, Team Virtuoso Sushi Squad, and Shock Courant that move on. As now the eliminated teams face off to determine 9th through 16th. And they're rolling down now. A lot of top teams here. We've got the Sailors, the Carbons, the Disco Neons, Peculiar Peaks, Team Echo as well, the Royal Jesters, with the Sky Scouts and the Wild Vermin. Furthermore towards the back. Again, in the first few funnels, it's a lot of contact here, so you better pray that someone gives you that nudge to distance yourself from the pack here. But so far, that's not looking to be happening. As meanwhile, again, Fullerene in that lead position. But we've seen from this exact marble just how fast it can go wrong for you. As meanwhile, then, Fullerene still in this leader position here as we enter these super fast funnels here. These semi-funnels are actually very, very fast because they've got a larger opening than any other funnel in this event. So teams can go really fast through these. These were the yellow funnels back in the previous season, the previous runnings of the funnel endurance. Let's look at Renew now. Now that they're out, they can still try to claw back some points by finishing 9th, which gives you 7 points, which would be a good recovery for a team that's a little bit upset now. I've seen their coach, Echo, is not very happy with Renew's performance. But of course, you need to keep in mind that in this event, you also need to rely on luck a little bit as well, making sure that you find yourself in the right position. As right now, Harlequin is doing that a little bit. They're now in the leader position. As look at Fullerene is getting bounced around by both Harlequin and, ironically enough, their big rivals, the Peculiar Peaks, Ascent. As meanwhile now we're starting to get into the last funnel. So look at, you can see the stadium now. We get into the last funnel now. The Sky Scouts now enter Carbons with the Peculiar Peaks, who will finish in last. Sky Scouts avoid the Peculiar Peaks there, but they get bounced around by the Sailors. They will finish in last. Sailors, Disco Neons, oh, almost getting in there were the Carbons. Can they save it? Oh, they almost get in. No, it's the Peaks. The Carbons now, they will finish in 11th. As meanwhile, Team Echo, oh, they cannot do it. They will finish in 10th, in 11th, sorry. Valvermin in 10th. And it will be then the Royal Jesters, best of the rest, in 9th. The fans are happy about that. It is the best they could do. Still, 9th, 7 points. That's not bad, considering the competition they had in this particular race. They beat some big names here. But yeah, not quite the conveyor belt drops we had in the previous running. But still, the Carbons there nearly were able to get away with finishing in 10th or 9th. Team Echo then will finish in 11th, VALVIK then in 10th, and it's the Royal Jesters in 9th. And then we have the Carbons, Peculiar Peaks, Disco Neon Sailors, and the Sky Scouts round out the bottom 8. As move on then to the final. Again, some other big names here, including our leaders in the championship, the Bubblegum Ballers. But Swirl has yet to medal as an individual here, so this could be going a little bit wrong for the team here. As meanwhile, we also have the Buzzers and Balance, silver medalists back in Season 2 of the Funnel Endurance. As meanwhile, their Uramaki is getting bounced around by Team Virtuoso and the Golfbirds now. As meanwhile, Salamander and now Nucleus is dropping down massively into these long and winding funnels. Sonata and Ostrich right behind them. Ostrich again is gonna want to find that opening if they want to emulate their success from their heat. They seem to be trying to do that so far. They're in there with Sonata. Sonata will enter through now. Oh, but look at that. Clever strategy there by Sonata. They now take the lead. They will enter into the funnel shorted though, as they will battle with the Scorperiors now. Who the Scorperiors will now take the lead a little bit. But look at that big battle there between the Golfbirds and the Scorperiors and Team Virtuoso now. As meanwhile, Chakrand in a brief last place position there with the Atomics and the Sushi Squad. And look at that, Chakrand, we can't even see them anymore. They're in that big funnel down there. Again, getting bounced out by everybody else. But meanwhile, at the top, the Bubblegum Ballers have managed to put themselves in a very good position. Scorperiors are there as well. Scorperiors, one of the longest active gold routes in the VALVIK Marble League. Their first and only gold happened in Event 9 of Season 1. That was the Jousting Duel, where they had a wonderful display. But hopefully they can emulate some of that success there. Meanwhile, they've only had silvers and bronzes, enough to secure a 4th place spot in all qualification. But I'm sure they want that gold. As we move again to the last few funnels here, buzzes in at the first with the Atomics and the Golfbirds now. Who will finish in 8th? Will it be the Golfbirds? Oh! Disaster for the Golfbirds. They finish in 8th. Atomics in 7th, the other heat winner. As meanwhile then, it's a tight battle for 6th and 5th. Chakrand in 5th. As meanwhile now, into the last few funnels, in the first podium position here, will the Scorperiors do it? Will Team Virtuoso do it? Salamander cannot get past Sonata here, and I think they will drop down, and they do. Team Virtuoso in 3rd, and it's the battle now for 1st place. The Sushi Squad could do it here, but Swirl gets past them, and Uramaki is out. The Bubblegum Ballers will do it. Swirl, their first ever medal as an individual athlete, and the Bubblegum Ballers go 3 in a row. Domination from the Bubblegum Ballers, who back in Season 1 were the Elegant Lilies. They were nowhere, have now found the form, and they're only the 2nd team to go 3 medals back to back, 2 of which are gold. Also, well done to Team Virtuoso back on the podium with their captain Sonata. Scorperiors were denied even a medal at this point, but they will still come home with a good chunk of points. And the Sushi Squad back on the podium themselves as well. Uramaki, the only medalist in the team. It's now their 2nd ever silver medal. Their first back in the elimination race. But that was a wonderful strategy from Swirl. They saw the attack from the Sushi Squad and they were able to just jump using the entrance of the funnel. Brilliant stuff from the Bubblegum Ballers. They will come home with 25 points and another medal. Chakrand will finish in 5th. It's their best ever result, with the Balls of Sen, Atomics, and the Golfbirds rounding out the top 8. So there you have it then. The Bubblegum Ballers will do it. Sushi Squad in second, Team Virtuoso Scorperiors with the Shakuran, Bolters and Atomics and Goldbirds running out to top 8. But today belongs then to the Bubblegum Ballers. Well done to them. Congratulations to our podium finishers, Team Virtuoso, Sushi Squad, and our gold medalists, the Bubblegum Ballers. Well done then to Swirl of the Bubblegum Ballers. Congratulations also to the Sushi Squad and Team Virtuoso. Well, let's see the overall standings now. The overall standings now has a much bigger lead, almost 20 points over Team Virtuoso, which I'm up to second. Carbons and Sailors level on points. But that's it from us. Coming up next, it's event number 6, block pushing. We hope to see you there. Goodbye.